All right. So today I am going to test some new old stock tubes against some new tubes. And this is Chronicles of a Guitar Hack. And guess who the guitar hack is? Me. I'm getting paid nothing to do these videos. I'm making no money on advertising. Okay? I'm not sponsored. So subscribe to my channel. I mean, you talk about someone with pure intentions. I'm making no money. It's costing me money to play music. It's costing me money to go out with a band. It's costing me money to make a video. I'm making no money, and I don't care if I do. I'm not going to sell out, okay? I haven't sold out this far in my life. I ain't going to sell out now. So anyway, the video today is because I'm getting a band together, okay? I've got the band together. I've got the lineup. We're playing blues. And we came up with a name. The Blues Rider. The Blues Rider. And, you know, when you get in a band together, you get a sound together, what you're going to sound like. If you're a rock band, you might use Marshalls, you know. And you might use a certain distortion pedal. You know, you're getting your sound together. I'm getting my sound together for this band. I'm using a Fuchs Blackjack 21 MK2 combo amp with a 12-inch speaker in it. And the speaker is a Jensen Concert Series 1250 from 1962. I pulled it out of a Fender cabinet that I had. 212 cabinet that I had that I never use. So, you know, trying to get the amp to sound the way I want it to. You know, I was messing with the tubes, and in the preamp section, there was a 12AX7, 12AX7, and a 12AT7. And then two power tubes, two 6V6s in the power section. Anyway, you know, there's a noise floor on this amp that to me is too much. So I'm trying to figure out how to get this noise floor out of the amp. So I'm reading that you can use a lower power tube than the 12 AX7. I said, wow, okay. And it's a tube called the 5751. I believe that's what it's called, 5751. Hold on, let me look. Yeah, 5751. It's a 70% gain tube. A 12AX7 is 100% gain tube. So you're cutting 30% off of your gain. And I like to play this Blackjack amp on the gain channel. But I turn the gain down to like nothing because it's too much already. I'm playing with a real clean sound, you know? like that really clear, pristine sound. So I'm using that sound in the band to play blues. And so when I heard you could put a 5751 in the amp and it brings the gain down, I said, wow, and brings the noise down. I said, that's great. Because I want to bring the noise floor down in the amp. And I also want to bring the gain down in the amp. So I ordered some new old stock 5751 GE tubes. They're in the package with the label on them. Never been used before. And I have two new old stock Philips 6V6s in there. Came in the box. And there is a Amperex 12AT7 in the slot that it calls for from the manufacturer, Andy Fuchs, in the other slot. So so in the amp you have a 12AX7, a 12AX7, a 12AT7, and two 6V6s. So I have the 6V6s are Philips, new old stock from the 1950s. The 12AX7s are new old stock GE, Joint Army Navy tubes, never used. And the 12AT7 is an Amperex, which tested as new old stock. So it didn't come in a box, but it was tested on a machine that tested it as new old stock. So that's what you're hearing right now in the amp, okay? So as a backup set of tubes, I got some Tung Sol, made in Russia, 6V6 GT power tubes. And then I got two 5751s and one 12AT7 for the preamp section. See, the thing is, people tell you, oh, the 12AX7 never wears out. You can keep it in your amp for 10 years. No, you can't. No, you can't. I bought brand new Genelex gold lion tubes with the gold pins on them for like, $38 a piece. Okay. In less than 1 year, they became microphonic. Less than 1 year, they became microphonic. So maybe they didn't wear out specifically, right? Maybe they didn't wear out, but you couldn't use them in your amplifier because there's this high end over the top of anything that I played. You could literally walk up to the amp and tap the front of it, and it would woo, woo, woo. So yeah, maybe they don't wear out, but it didn't do me any good to keep them in the amp. And that's when I started looking at the new old stock tubes, which led me to some Philips. I had some Baldwin 12AX7s in there that are from an organ that are supposedly low noise. But it still sounded like, the noise floor was still too much. But anyway, this is what the amp sounds like right now with the new old stock tubes in it. I'm going to play a little bit here. I'm going to play some open chords, some power chords, some bar chords, some leads down low and up high. I'm just going to try to get you, all of the range of type that you would kind of be playing on a guitar, so you can hear the tubes, because if somebody does a demo and they just play, up here, it's like, well, I play a lot of power chords, I'm not going to go through a lot of guitar sounds because, I could have, mild overdrive, heavy overdrive, medium overdrive, distortion, mild distortion with overdrive. I mean, if I started getting into just simply, amp kind of sounds, man, I'd be here forever. So I'm just playing the amp that I would have it set for my sound that I like, that I'm using in this band, the Blues Rider. And this is what the amp sounds like. There's a little bit of reverb on there. And the mid is set about right here. Low is set right here. High is set a little bit, just a little bit more than that. Gain is right here, and master is right here. And there's a knob on here called tone. That's another reason why I like to use the gain channel in this amp. There's kind of like this knob that's called tone that kind of dials you some presence in that you can't get on the clean channel. So this is what it sounds like right here. Those are the new old stock tubes. Now what I did was I let the amp warm up for 30 minutes before I played on them. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to let the amp cool down. Then I'm going to replace the tubes with these Tung Sol, made in Russia. These are matching. There's a matching set of tubes. And here's all my preamp tubes. I'm going to replace the new old stock tubes with these tubes. New tubes, brand new, never been opened, never been put in any amp. I ordered these from Antique Radio Supply. And I'm going to put those in. I'm going to let the amp warm up for 30 minutes. I'm going to leave the mic in exactly the same place, leave all the settings on the amp exactly the same. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to record what the new tubes sound like in the amp to see if we can hear a difference. All right. So I have in the new tubes, Tung Sol tubes. I have to tell you, it took me like 20 minutes to get them in. Like I was trying to put the preamp tubes in the slots and they would not go in. So I had to adjust the pins just a little bit. Wouldn't go in. So I lined them up with the old tubes, to see what was going on. I don't know, it just took me a long time. Thank God I was not doing that in the studio, because that would have cost me, $50. But when I turn the amp on, it seems a little bit louder. Like it seems like they're making more noise. That's my first impression. My first impression is they're noisier. And they're 5751s, which should be quieter. Maybe a little bit more mid-rangey. Maybe a little bit more mid-rangey. Seem to be a little bit more present, maybe a little bit more present. Maybe a little bit more glassy. Maybe a little bit more glassy. Well, there you have it. They're rattling something over here, so they're maybe a little bit louder because something over here is rattling that wasn't rattling in the other one. So that's the comparison. These are Tung Sol tubes, brand new in the amplifier. So that's what they sound like. Maybe a little bit more present, maybe a little bit more mid-range. I'm gonna listen back to the recording myself and kind of get a judgment. I'm gonna put the new old stock tubes in there again, and I'm gonna keep these as a spare set. I bought these as like a backup set. I mean, you always want to have backup tubes when you're playing tube amps. You always want to have backup tubes, and you want to have them on hand, by the way. So when you go to rehearsal, take your backup tubes if you're playing a tube amp. Man, I am seriously considering getting one of these, profiling setups, man. I mean, these tubes right here cost $200 plus, like $205, I think. You do that 3 times, and I had new power tubes in this amp. They wore out in less than a year. I had preamp tubes that went microphonic in less than a year. And I wasn't even playing this amp that heavy. Wasn't even playing it that much. So if you talk about like $200 a year, and that's one amp. I mean, I've got multiple amplifiers, and I don't know. I just don't know. But I love the sound of a tube amp. Yeah, it's a little bit more mid-rangey. I would say it's more mid-rangey. It's more present. It's not as round. Is that what I would put it? It's not as round. It's not as soft as the new old stock tubes. And there are some people who believe you have to burn tubes in. These have no burn-in time on them. Literally, I just warmed up the amp for 30 minutes before I started playing on it. So. That's with no burn-in time. And like I said, I'm keeping these as a backup, so I may not burn them in. But that's what they sound like. So these are new tubes. You listen back, those are new old stock tubes, and you can come to your own conclusion.